Have you ever asked yourself the one question that could change everything? You've felt it, haven't you? That whisper in the back of your mind telling you that you're capable of more, but somehow you still haven't unlocked it. You've felt the weight of regret, the sting of missed opportunities, and the deep, unshakable knowledge that there's a version of you just waiting to break free. Here's the truth. The life you're dreaming of isn't out there. It's already inside you, waiting for the right questions to unlock it. By the end of this, your mindset will never be the same again. So ask yourself, are you ready to change your life forever? Clarity is the secret weapon of every successful person. It's not enough to simply have ambition. It's not enough to be busy. You can hustle all day long, but without clarity, you're just spinning your wheels, burning energy without making progress. Think about it. Have you ever felt like you're working hard but not really getting anywhere? You put in the time, but the results don't reflect your effort? That's because you're aiming at a moving target. When you don't have clarity, you can't hit the bullseye. But the moment you get clear on what you want, everything shifts. You stop wandering and start moving with purpose. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. Real clarity is about having a laser focus on your true goals, not just what's easy or comfortable. You can't be everything to everyone, and you shouldn't try to be. Ask yourself this: what is the one thing that if you achieve it, everything else will fall into place? That's clarity. Clarity doesn't come from wishful thinking. It comes from deep, honest reflection. It's about knowing without any doubt what you want and why you want it. Take Steve Jobs, for example. In the early days of Apple, he wasn't just focused on making computers. He had clarity on something bigger. He wanted to change the way people interacted with technology. He saw a future where technology wasn't something intimidating, but something that would empower people to unlock their potential. He didn't just want a product, he wanted to redefine an entire industry. And this vision, this deep clarity of purpose, became his North Star. It drove every decision he made, no matter how difficult or unpopular. Now ask yourself, what's your North Star? What is it that you truly want deep down? Most people can't answer this question because they haven't taken the time to really reflect. They're caught in the cycle of day-to-day survival. They're responding to the needs of others, to obligations, to the pressure to meet expectations. But living like this leaves you feeling drained, lost, and disconnected from what truly matters. Clarity isn't about figuring out what everyone else wants for you. It's about uncovering what you want for yourself. It's about recognizing that your desires are valid and worth pursuing. Once you get clear on that, you give yourself permission to go after what you truly want. No excuses, no holding back. The moment you get clear, the fog lifts. You stop procrastinating, you stop doubting yourself, you take action. And action, my friend, is the key to creating the life you desire. Clarity is the compass, but action is what moves you forward. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, it becomes impossible to stay stuck. Clarity also brings with it a sense of peace. The anxiety that comes from uncertainty starts to fade because you know exactly where you're going. And while the path may still have obstacles, you'll meet them with confidence. You'll know how to navigate them because you know where you're headed. If you want to unlock your potential, you need to first get clear on your vision. This is where most people falter. They're so focused on the how that they forget the what. They're busy planning every step, but they never take the time to truly ask, what do I want out of this life? What do I want for myself, not just for others? It's time to stop drifting, get clear on your destination, and then take massive action toward it. The life you've always wanted is already within your grasp. It's not out there waiting for you, it's inside you, and clarity is the key to unlocking it. Who do you need to become to achieve the life you want? This question is a game changer. It's the question that separates those who dream from those who turn those dreams into reality. Most people get stuck in the cycle of wishing, hoping, and waiting for the perfect opportunity to come along. They want success, they want change, but they don't ask themselves the most powerful question they can: who do I need to become to make this happen? Think about this. You can have all the resources, all the knowledge, and all the ambition in the world, but if you're not the person who can rise to the occasion, none of it will matter. You have to transform into the version of yourself who can handle the responsibility, the pressure, and the success that's coming your way. Without this internal shift, you're never going to step into the greatness that's waiting for you. Take the story of Michael Jordan. We all know him as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but do you know the price he paid to get there? He wasn't always the star. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Can you imagine? The greatest player in the world was once told he wasn't good enough. But he didn't quit. He didn't take it personally. Instead, he asked himself a different question. Who do I need to become to be the best? And he got to work. He transformed himself physically, mentally, emotionally into the player he needed to be to reach the top. And it wasn't just his skill on the court that made him great. It was his mindset. He became someone who expected to win, someone who would stop at nothing to achieve greatness. He didn't just want to play basketball, he wanted to change the game. So let me ask you, who do you need to become to achieve your goals? It's not enough to want success, you have to embody it. You need to step into the mindset, the habits, and the energy of the person who already has the success you desire. And this transformation doesn't happen by chance, it's intentional. You decide who you're going to become, and then you back it up with consistent action. There's a deep psychological principle behind this. The idea of becoming the person you need to be is rooted in a concept called identity shift. When you shift your identity, when you truly believe that you are the person who deserves success, it changes everything. Your actions, your decisions, and your reactions all align with that new identity. You stop being someone who's waiting for permission or opportunity, and you start being someone who creates them. Think about the famous inventor Thomas Edison. He didn't just invent the light bulb by sitting around hoping for a breakthrough. He became the kind of person who would never accept failure as the end. He saw failure as a lesson, a stepping stone towards success. He asked himself, who do I need to become to create something that will change the world? And then he did it through sheer perseverance, dedication, and innovation. So the next time you're facing a challenge or feeling stuck, ask yourself, who do I need to become to get through this, to achieve this, to rise above this? And then step into that version of yourself. You don't have to wait for someone else to change your circumstances. Change yourself. The moment you shift who you are on the inside, the world starts to shift around you. This question isn't just a thought experiment, it's a call to action. It's the starting point for every breakthrough you will ever experience. Because the truth is, your future isn't shaped by what you do, it's shaped by who you become in the process. That's the key. The right version of yourself, armed with the right mindset, will always find a way. So stop asking what you can get and start asking who you need to become. Your future will thank you for it. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Fear is the one thing that holds most people back from living the life they want. It's easy to blame external circumstances. I don't have the right resources, or I'm not ready yet. But the truth is, the only thing that truly holds you back is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But what if I told you that your fear is the very thing standing between you and the life you've always dreamed of? Think about the times in your life when you've hesitated, when you've let fear paralyze you. We've all been there. You want to make that career change, but the fear of uncertainty keeps you stuck in a job you hate. You want to start a business, but the fear of failing in front of others stops you from even trying. You want to pursue a passion, but the fear of judgment keeps you quiet. But here's the thing. You can't wait for the fear to go away. It never will. Fear doesn't disappear once you feel ready. It only disappears once you take action in spite of it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. The people who change the world are not the ones who are fearless. They are the ones who act despite their fear. Look at Oprah Winfrey. She could have easily let fear control her. She faced rejection after rejection early in her career, but instead of letting those setbacks define her, she used them as fuel to keep going. She could have let her fear of being judged or misunderstood stop her from speaking out, but instead she leaned into her vulnerability and found strength in it. She chose to take action despite the fear, and now she's one of the most influential women in the world. Or take Elon Musk. When he first started out with SpaceX, he was told he was crazy. He was told that private companies could never launch rockets into space. But did he listen? Did he let fear of failure stop him? No, he faced the fear of failure head on and took action. He invested his own money into the venture even when things seemed impossible. And today, SpaceX has revolutionized space travel. You see, the key to success is not waiting for the perfect moment or for the fear to subside. It's taking action in the face of fear. The moment you decide to take that first step, no matter how small, is the moment you break free from the chains that fear has wrapped around you. Action is the antidote to fear. When you act, fear loses its power over you. But why do we hesitate? Why do we allow fear to dictate our lives? It's simple. Our brains are wired for survival. The human mind is designed to keep us safe, to avoid risk, to protect us from pain and failure. And that's why it's so easy to let fear take control. But you have to understand, playing it safe is actually more dangerous than taking risks. By avoiding action, you're keeping yourself stuck in a life that's not aligned with your potential. You're settling for the familiar even though it doesn't serve you. What if you could shift your mindset and see fear as a signal that you're about to do something great? Every time you feel fear, remind yourself that it means you're on the edge of a breakthrough. Fear is your body's way of telling you that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's exactly where growth happens. So ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? What would I accomplish if I stopped waiting for the fear to go away and just took action right now? Because the truth is, your dreams don't come true in the comfort zone. They come true when you decide to step into the unknown, take the first step, and keep moving forward despite the fear. Take that action today. Don't wait. The longer you wait, the more you let fear win. And when you take that first step, you'll realize something incredible. You were never as afraid as you thought you were. Because once you act, you'll realize that fear was just an illusion, a shadow that disappears as soon as you step into the light of action. So what will you do today? Will you stay in the shadows, or will you take the courageous step toward the life you deserve? What if I told you that failure isn't something to fear? That every mistake, every setback, every time you fall short is actually a gift in disguise. For most people, failure is the ultimate enemy. It's something we try to avoid at all costs. But what if you could change your entire perspective on failure? What if you could see it as your greatest teacher, your most valuable mentor? The truth is, failure is the very thing that leads to success. It's the path to mastery. If you've never failed, then you've never really pushed yourself to your limits. You've never tested your boundaries or stepped outside your comfort zone, and that means you're not growing. It's time to stop running from failure and start running toward it, because every time you fail, you're one step closer to your breakthrough. Let me take you back to Thomas Edison. We all know him as the inventor of the light bulb, but what most people don't know is how many times he failed before he succeeded. He didn't just fail a few times, he failed thousands of times, and every time he was met with ridicule, doubt, and frustration. But Edison didn't let failure define him. He didn't let it stop him. In fact, when someone once asked him how it felt to fail so many times, he simply said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison understood something that most people never grasp. Failure is not the end. It's simply feedback. It's information that tells you what doesn't work so you can adjust your approach and try again. Failure shows you the gaps in your knowledge, the areas where you need to grow, and the steps you need to take to reach your goals. Without failure, there's no learning. Without failure, there's no progress. But how do you get to that mindset? How do you start embracing failure rather than avoiding it? It begins with shifting your perception. When you fail, don't see it as a reflection of your worth or abilities. Instead, see it as an opportunity to grow. A failure isn't a judgment. It's a stepping stone. It's part of the process. Every person who's achieved greatness has failed countless times, but they didn't quit. They learned, they adapted, they got better. And that's why they succeeded. Think about Michael Jordan. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Let that sink in for a moment. The greatest basketball player of all time was once considered not good enough. He could have let that failure define him, but instead he used it as motivation. He took that failure and said, "I'm going to prove them wrong." And he did. He didn't just make it into the NBA, he became the face of the league, winning 6 NBA championships and earning countless accolades. So why do so many people fear failure? It's because of how we're taught to view it. From an early age, we're conditioned to see failure as something shameful, something to avoid at all costs. We're told that failing means we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not capable of achieving our goals. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Failing doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. It makes you someone who's willing to put in the work, someone who's willing to take risks and learn from them. Failure is an essential part of the journey to success. It's the thing that forces you to dig deeper, to refine your skills, to become more resilient. Without failure, there's no growth, there's no innovation, there's no discovery. The truth is we're all going to fail, but it's what you do after you fail that matters. Are you going to let it break you, or are you going to let it teach you? I want you to remember this. Every time you fail, you're one step closer to your success. Don't fear failure, don't run from it, embrace it. Use it as fuel to move forward. Because the greatest achievements in life come not from avoiding failure, but from learning how to rise stronger after each fall. You've got to fail to win. You've got to stumble before you can walk, but if you keep getting back up, if you keep learning and growing, success is inevitable. So go ahead, fail big, fail often, because with every failure, you're one step closer to becoming the person you're meant to be, and that's how you win. Have you ever found yourself staring at a task you know you need to do, but it feels so overwhelming that you put it off again and again? The excuses pile up, the pressure mounts, and before you know it, the task that could have been done weeks ago is still hanging over your head. This is the trap most people fall into. The idea that you need hours of time, endless focus, and the perfect conditions to get started. But here's the thing. What if I told you you don't need hours, just 5 minutes? The 5-minute rule is the key to breaking this cycle, and it will change your life. Let me explain. When a task feels too big, too overwhelming, your mind naturally resists. It says, you don't have enough time for that. Or it's going to take too long. The fear of starting, of getting it wrong or not finishing holds you back. But what if you commit to just 5 minutes? You don't need to complete the whole project. You don't need to have everything figured out. Just commit to getting started for 5 minutes. It's amazing how something so small can create massive momentum. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, I'll work on this later, or I'll do it tomorrow, only to push it off again? But when you break it down into 5 minutes, you remove all that resistance. 5 minutes isn't intimidating. 5 minutes doesn't require perfection. And here's the beauty of it. Once you start, the hardest part is over. That 5-minute commitment often turns into an hour or 2 hours or more. But the critical step is to break the inertia. Let's look at a real-world example. The story of Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most successful comedians of our time. Seinfeld has a simple but powerful productivity hack that he calls his "don't break the chain" method. Each day he would write jokes. He didn't tell himself, I'm going to write for an hour. No, he focused on writing just one joke a day. It was just 5 minutes. But by showing up every single day and making that small, consistent commitment, he built an enormous body of work. Over time, this simple action of writing one joke a day compounded into years of comedy brilliance. That's the power of the 5-minute rule. It removes the pressure and it removes the excuses. But why does this work? It works because it taps into one of the most powerful psychological principles, the power of momentum. Momentum is the fuel that drives us. Once you take the first step, no matter how small, you're no longer fighting the urge to procrastinate. You're building momentum, and momentum creates action. The longer you go without starting, the heavier the task becomes. But once you begin, even for just 5 minutes, it begins to feel lighter. Your brain starts to believe that it's possible. This is how top performers tackle overwhelming projects. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait until they feel like it. They take small, intentional actions, no matter how little time they have. For example, when a successful entrepreneur is facing a mountain of work, they don't think, I have to finish this entire report today. They think, I'll work on this for just 5 minutes. Once they start the process